All right, welcome back on Africa Business Radio. It's been a lot going on since 8 a.m. that we started, and I've still got Winston with me in the studio. Hello, Winston.
Absolutely. Hi, Rachel.
How are you doing?
We're still staying strong.
We're getting into a very interesting part of the show, which is our guest segment. And of course, you know that Africa Business Radio, we are over enthusiastic about startups. And if you're a startup, then you're very interested in your customer base. You know, you want to know, how do I get customers going? We had a conversation on our investment tip talking about, you know, the right way to approach your customers, or whether or not, or how you can even get this customer started when you've put all of the beautiful things together. Sure. You have the business running. And the big question is, where are the customers? I need the money coming in. So yes, on our guest segment today, we'll be talking with a professional. Yes, he is Markus Becker, the founder, Idea Seed Africa. Good morning, Markus. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I like your energy, all bubbly.
Yeah.
Feels good to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. So when I saw Idea Seed Africa, I thought, startup incubator, you know, but
not quite. But
all right.
Yeah.
So
probably we're going there.
So let's just start the conversation by getting to know the idea behind Idea Seed Africa.
All right. So basically, it all started 2018 when I was living still in Germany. You know, Munich, beautiful Munich, and Berlin, of course. And this was when I became a startup mentor. Mainly for West African startups.
Right.
And I found out that there is no real good source for information out there. You know, when you live in Germany and you don't start Googling for what is happening in the startup ecosystem in Lagos, these information do not really reach you. So, and this was basically when I came up with the vision of creating something, more entertaining and trying to give people, especially outside of Africa, the right insights, you know, being here, exploring the startup ecosystem, talking with startups. And you could consider me more or less like a small media company or whatever you want to like.
Small media company.
Right. Small media, yes. So I'm in media basically, but you know, these information are important for the people out there, for investors, for companies who are looking for collaboration opportunities, right?
Sure.
So I understand that you're focused in Lagos, Accra. I also saw London, Berlin, Lisbon as well.
I went to Ethiopia also to explore the startup ecosystem there.
What's it like there? What's it like in Ethiopia? Because that's a that's a landscape that doesn't get enough projection.
Yeah. More and more money is also flowing into Ethiopia.
Okay.
You have very smart entrepreneurs there, great startups, you know, but same problem there, right? No one is really there to bring out the message, to give some to have this platform for startups to be seen out there, right? So I'm basically here to do that a little bit from my point of view, but what I also do as an innovation expert is to evaluate the business models of these startups, right? The people want to know, is this really good and valid and reliable what these startups are doing? Do they have a chance to survive?
Absolutely.
So this is what we're talking about.
Right. Now, just before we get I just need to get a proper background of everything. Now, just before we talk about the customer base and all, you have this Founders Talk. I saw that one in your profile, and you have entrepreneurs share knowledge about what it's been like as an entrepreneur, their struggles, their best practices, and you've been to these very different places.
Exactly.
So do you find entrepreneurs across board, I mean, in these areas, do you find that they are facing the same pattern of challenges, or is it different based on geography?
It's very much different. I mean, you mentioned Founders Talk, for example, which is a small event that I hosted or organized, just basically to invite successful entrepreneurs and to have, you know, the real talk.
Right.
Give them the platform to talk with the people in this space, especially in Lagos and Accra, about the, you know, what's it really being like an entrepreneur and the challenges and the struggles. I have the feeling, after almost 3 years living in Lagos, that not enough people are talking about these kind of things, the important things, you know. Everybody, of course, wants the money and wants to be successful and seen out there, but it's a long way. But, what are you going to do, through this valley of suffering that I want to call it sometimes when you're an entrepreneur? Success doesn't come easy, you know.
Absolutely.
So, and this is, and when it comes to the customer base, you mentioned it already. I think this is a very crucial thing that people are missing out on. Like you have to investigate, you have to properly know about your customers, about your business model, and most of the startups do not take enough time to really dig deeper into the market, understand the customers, and this is important, especially when sooner or later you want to talk with investors, and they want to see that you did a proper job.
You need to have data, you need to understand customer behavior and all that. Okay, so that brings us to a very important question as well, because I feel like for a lot of startups or entrepreneurs, they just may be confused and not know how to go about it. So for a big company or say a multinational, they could easily invest in data gathering, right? Consumer behavior, identifying target market, research and all that. But for an entrepreneur, aside not having that finance to invest in that, they might not even know how to go about it, and they can't hire third parties to do that. So how do you identify your target market or your consumer base or your niche market as an entrepreneur, as a startup?
Well, I think it depends on the product and what you want to reach, and of course on which channels your customers are active the most and how to reach them. Talking about the channels, in the marketing theory, of course, you get taught that you have to identify these channels that are important and could drive your sales, or where you can reach your customers the easiest way. And I have the feeling that here it's about as a startup in Lagos or in West Africa, they try to cover all the channels. I'm not sure if it quite works, but of course you have to understand that social media is difficult.
Really,
it's there are algorithms in the background that could make it very difficult for you. And sometimes I tell the startups guys, when I mentor startups, for example, maybe don't look at social media. Maybe social media does not really work for you, because this is not the right product to be communicated on Instagram, for example. Sorry guys, it's more about entertaining, and being seen out there. This is what you could use social media for. But just placing, I don't know, fashion items on Instagram and driving your sales like that sometimes might not work. Maybe it's, direct sales that works for you the best. So this is what you have to figure out, basically.
Okay, so that also brings up the issue of actually even connecting with these people. So I feel like the reason why a lot of them are on social media is because that's like the easiest and most available, method. That's like the easy way out. So if you want to connect, with your customer base, because you could have a product, right, and then you could just have random people come to patronize here and there. But if that business is going to last, if that business is going to go on to become so big, if that business is going to get investment, you need to have loyal customers to an extent. So how do they connect with these people, and how do they grow that customer base as well? Because before investors start looking at you, they must have seen some trajectory, seen some astronomical numbers, and say, okay, you know what, 2 years ago these guys had a 50 loyal customer base. Now they have 150. I think there's something they're doing right. So what are some techniques that they could employ to grow that niche customer base, and how do they even connect with these customers? If we're rolling out social media, for example, what else do they have to do? What else is left?
Guys, actually it's about trying to find out what is really important for your customers. It's about emotions at the end of the day. And what I see a lot is that on social media, it's a tool from a different world, made for other cultures, right? So you have to adapt these kind of channels basically to your culture. Here in West Africa, Nigeria is very different from the people in Ghana, right? You have to use it differently, and you have to make your people engage through these channels with you and try to find out what's really important. And then you will have the retention. You will have to find out, basically do a lot of testing, what does work and what does not work, what's important, what makes the people engage with me online, or maybe do the sales? What brings the people to use your product?
Right.
May it be digital or a physical product, but this is something very important, and
Right.
I would definitely tell all the startups to take more time to do the testing, do different kind of channels, test different kind of channels, test different campaigns on different channels, and see what is really engaging for the people, and also take a look, of course, at cultural aspects, right? So that's something very important that people are missing out on sometimes. Of course, when you're in the US and people, use social media very differently that people use it here in Nigeria, for example. So this is what I mean by try to adapt these kind of channels to your environment, basically. That's something very important. And then you will find out if customers do come back. That's what you have to know about, or this is what you have to consider when it comes to talking about a stable customer base.
Right.
Do they buy only once? It depends on the product, of course. If there are products you can only buy them once a time, but do they come back? Do they engage even more? Do they talk about your product once they bought it or tested it on social media? And these are important things that that investors also want to know. They want to see that your product, your business model works out there, right? So this is what makes investors,
Okay. So before I have Rachel ask something, I want to quickly chip this in, because this is like, and this is considering, the realities on ground, especially in Nigeria, maybe to a large extent some parts of West Africa as well.
Yeah.
But it's a peculiar economic terrain in Nigeria, especially right now, with everything happening. I mean, the pandemic did affect a lot of the world, but Nigeria has been going through some serious economic turmoil. Now, you did rightly mention while we started this conversation that it's tough for an entrepreneur. It's difficult for a startup. Success doesn't come easy. Now, in economy or in economics, we know that without purchasing power, there's literally almost nothing you're going to do. So you can have the most fantastic products, but if your audience or your consumers don't have the purchasing power, then the business is as good as grounded. So in a situation like this where there's literally dwindling purchasing power, and you see big establishments literally trying to make more affordable versions of their product. You see people who used to sell stuff in bottles now selling in sachets, and never used to be. That's a sign that the economy is not really in a great place.
Yeah.
How does an entrepreneur or somebody who's now doing a startup now thrive in this kind of situation?
Well, I think this is one of the most important questions because buying power is crucial to your startup. I have the feeling that this is, of course, what drives the startups to go international, go into different markets, because I think, of course, we all don't know the exact numbers, right? This is another problem that we have. How big is Lagos, right? 20 million, 22 million. Nobody really knows.
Just estimate.
What's the market size? And these numbers are very difficult to get, to understand. And if you do the math or want to do the math, especially for the investors, it's very difficult to say where am I and where can I basically be standing in the next couple of years. And this is the same with the buying power, right? Do you have the right customers in your country to be able to pay your price for the product that you're demanding? If not, then basically you don't have a customer base. That's as easy as that, right? So, and if you don't have a customer base, then maybe do something else or change the product, change the business model. That's why you have to investigate. You have to understand. This is what we call the value proposition, right? What are the pains and gains? This is where it starts. What are the pains and gains of your customers? Where do they really have a problem? What is the real problem that you're trying to solve? And do you solve it in a way that adds value or gives value to the people? And are they willing to pay for it? Even though they might end up with only, I'm just making up numbers now, 500 nairas per week left from what they have or earn. Are they willing? Would they invest these 500 nairas in a service, in a digital product? Whatever it is, at the end of the day, this is what you have to find out. And the value has to be great in a economy like this where people are, struggling sometimes.
Absolutely.
To make them buy your product. This is absolutely crucial. Yeah,
very crucial.
All right, let's get on to access to funding opportunities now.
Yeah.
I understand that startups are interested in having solid customer base because they want to make more money, get more revenue, plunge back into the business, but they are also interested in having investors see that they have something to offer, that people are interested in what the idea they are trying to build. So let's talk about the progress or how the landscape has been in Nigeria when it comes to investing. Investors' interest in entrepreneurs now.
The landscape, you mean?
Yeah.
All entrepreneurs pretty much sourcing for funding. What's it like? What's it been like?
To be honest, I just had a discussion yesterday with a small fund or VC from Hong Kong.
Right.
He is originally from the Netherlands, and he's been investing for the last couple of years in Nigeria, in Ghana, and these countries.
Okay.
And well, basically, at the end of the day, we agreed that most investors do not know each other. There are some, of course, especially here in this space, local investors, but there is no real network like in big ecosystems like Berlin, London, where you connect easily, where everybody knows about each other, where you have platforms to connect. And this is definitely a big problem. I mean, there are a lot of big VCs out there, big investors. They, of course, know what is happening in the startup ecosystem in Lagos, for example. But there are so many investors out there who would be maybe willing to invest also smaller ticket sizes. This is what we need in an ecosystem like this.
Right.
But same problem as I mentioned at the beginning. Where are the informations? Where is the valid, reliable data about a startup to make an investor, or the success story to make an investor being interested in an ecosystem like this? A couple of weeks ago, I met someone and I told him that Flutterwave and these big startups. Nobody knows about these stories in Germany. I'm talking about the normal people, the smaller investors. These investors who are not already familiar with the African ecosystems. These kind of stories are. Yeah, you hear about the big startups from Silicon Valley and from London and Berlin and so on. But Lagos, it's a big ecosystem. We can definitely agree on that. So that's why it makes it much harder for the startups to get in touch with investors, because it's basically at the end of the day, it's the same, right? It's the same people, the same VCs that we look at. Lately, I saw that more and more Japanese and Chinese investors, of course, and VCs are focusing on the African ecosystems.
Oh, okay, great.
Of course, because they believe that more money is possible to be made here. Exactly. But the risks are higher as well, and they know about that. But as I said,
all in all, you'd say there's potential for the entrepreneur. There's hope and potential.
Absolutely. I'm not saying that there is no options or possibilities. There are, but you have to do your job. You have to show them that you're professional. You have to talk their language, basically. Do your research and
try to be ready. You have to be ready.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there are a couple of investors that you can approach, and VCs. More than enough, to be honest. More than enough. Okay. But it always depends on your sector and their interest, their portfolio. If they don't invest in agriculture, in agri-tech, and you're an agri-tech startup, don't approach them. Right. You're wasting your time, you're wasting their time, and you just show them that you're basically not professional. Yeah. Because you have to do your job, and this includes trying to find out what this VC is investing in, right? And if it's not agriculture, don't approach them.
Right.
Okay. All right, so Idea Seed Africa, what new initiatives do you have on board, or should we expect to come, that investors or entrepreneurs could jump on?
Well, there are a lot of things going on, to be honest. The great thing is that now more angel investors from Germany are approaching us. So at the moment we're organizing a non-public pitch event for two investors, private investors, who want to invest in agri-tech and health tech startups. So, and of course, within the last years of build up this this network of startups that I know quite well. I try to build up a good relationship with the founders and, have this gut feeling about them and about the startup. And it's basically my job and my profession to understand what they are doing and to be able to, recommend startups to people. Yes. And if I say, take a look at XYZ and so on, then this is it's a profound recommendation,
Absolutely.
right? And this is what we're doing at the moment. So hopefully more of that is coming. I would love to organize more events again, but physical events. But with the pandemic. It's difficult. It's very difficult. So, and the virtual experience is not the same. Because these events, it's about connecting,
I will agree.
Right?
True.
I will totally agree.
Yeah, so shortly before COVID-19 hit us, that was February 2020, we organized together with MEST and NPACT.
Okay.
NPACT is a non-profit organization from Germany doing startup mentoring programs.
Oh, nice.
We organized Co-Found Accra, the first Co-Found event. The name basically says it all. It's an event, a platform that is for two people, for two kind of people: those who are looking for co-founders and have an idea already for a business, and those who want to become co-founder but do not have, founded a startup yet, do not have an idea. And it's very difficult in this. I don't have to tell you, everybody knows it. It's very difficult in this environment to find the right people to co-found with, right? Maybe you know them from university or wherever. Maybe it's your friends. But where's the trust out there?
Exactly.
Where's the trust?
And then some people don't even believe in that dream or that idea that you have.
Exactly. And it's different, of course, in an ecosystem like Berlin, for example, right? It's you can meet up, you have these events, and this is what we tried to create. And it was quite small. I mean, up to, 60, 70 people showed up, and we had, I would say, 20, 25 people on the stage, small stage. It's just about giving them 2 to 3 minutes to pitch their idea. And at the end, you just go like, guys, if you're interested, I will be standing over there. Talk with me, right? And this is all it needs, and you will have these organizations like MEST, for example, helping you to connect with these people, giving you insights
really
in an evening like this. And, it's just about helping the people, supporting them, empowering them, and giving them the chance to finally, co-found. And this is what we need, more startups.
Absolutely.
Because then this whole ecosystem, the economy, will profit in the hopefully in the future from established businesses. But you start as a startup with an idea.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, so before, we're literally running out of time, but it would be good to also touch on the creative side of you, because besides the professional consulting, helping startups, recommendations, linking with potential investors, there's so much great stuff. But then you still do the creative side. You guys should see Markus. He always moves about his great cameras, capturing very, very important and significant moments. And you also mentioned when you were telling us about stuff that you do, about how you're more like, a mini media platform, which is great. So let's talk about, the creative side of you and how you also help project, these young entrepreneurs and small startups, giving them a voice, giving them, coverage, mileage. Let's talk about that. And how do you still find time to do all of that? Because I know
it's
the
difficult.
creative side is crazy.
To be honest, I don't have the time at the moment. But that's basically what it's all about, right? I started up with the idea of doing entertaining content, and I believe that video is more important than text-based content. Of course, Google is still much more text-based, right? But if you want to get a feeling as someone who is not from Africa, as an investor who never heard about the big success stories. They have no imagination about Lagos. What's it like to travel through Lagos, right? Traffic, we all have the same problem.
Absolutely.
But who are these guys founding these startups, having these innovative ideas? And through a video like this, you can not only get a feeling for the city and the places, but also for the people. It's much more important, or you can draw much more interest to an ecosystem like this with these kind of entertaining with this entertaining content. Exactly. So this is what I try to do.
Nice.
It's of course one of my marketing channels, but with that I'm also trying to empower or support the startups with being seen out there. Draw the attention to the ecosystem, but you have to show the people the success stories, and this is basically what I do. And I love photography and videography.
Yeah, I see the passion.
So that's why at the end of the day, it's all about editing. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. And that's a whole lot of work on its own.
It is. I love to experiment. I would love to do more filmmaking, stuff like that. But so this gives me the opportunity to combine both, right? So I'm pretty much passionate about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic stuff.
Yes, fantastic indeed. We've been talking with the founder, Idea Seed Africa, and we've been talking customer base, of course, for startups. It's been a great time with you, and this happened not so much on the show. We wrap up the show with the guests, so it's happening again today, Marcus. You're joining us to wrap up the show this morning. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening to us. From Rachel and
Winston,
and of course,
Markus Becker.
Thanks for
have a
having
wonderful
me,
day.
guys.
Absolutely. Great conversation.
Thank you very much.
Bye for now.
Bye. Yeah.